Welcome, everybody, to the latest webcast in Caring.com's Digital Marketing Academy. Our session today is focused on helping your residential board and care home compete online with the larger senior living communities. I'm Denise Grubb, a marketing director here at Caring.com, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague Peter Droubay, who you see on video, and I'll introduce in more depth in just one moment. Before we get started, though, I wanted to cover a few basic housekeeping items. This is a one-way webcast where only the presenters speak, but we do want you to ask questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll have a Q&A at the end. The number one question we get with every session is, will this be recorded? Can I have the slides afterward? The answer is yes and yes. So don't worry, we will be recording this. We are recording this, and we will share the slides afterward. Okay, now this is a free session, but the cost of admission is a brief sponsor message about Caring.com. Our organization was founded by caregivers for caregivers. Our flagship website, Caring.com, was created and launched in 2007 to equip family caregivers to make better decisions, save time and money, and feel less alone and less stressed in providing senior care to their loved ones. Today, millions of people come to our website to research and get referred to senior living communities, home care agencies, and other senior care resources. In fact, we have one of the most comprehensive senior care directories on the web and are the #1 source of senior care reviews online, with about 250,000 consumer reviews posted and thousands added every month. In May 2018, we were acquired by Caring Holdings, LLC, a group of investors with over 15 years of digital marketing expertise. This transaction has enabled us to continue and expand our services to family caregivers and older adults and enhance our competitive position in the marketplace. Today's speaker is Peter Droubay. He has extensive experience in the senior care industry, including helping to build both the Seniors Choice and Hallmark Home Care, two organizations through which he trained hundreds of senior care executives nationwide. Peter is a renowned trainer in sales and marketing with a proven track record in multiple industries. He has a wealth of practical knowledge in senior care businesses, and besides being a phenomenal professional, which you'll soon see in what he shares with you, he's also an all-around great guy, has some really wonderful real-life stories that will leave you with both a smile and nuggets of valuable truth. Now, without further ado, I'm going to hand over the remote control and everything to Peter to take it away.
All right. Thank you, Denise. Everybody hears me, hopefully. Denise, give me a thumbs up if or a thumbs down if you can't. But I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the accolades that Denise read. I take exception with the all-around nice guy part of it, because I don't know that I always am, but I try to be. So I guess that counts for something. Also, the picture on there was taken just a few years ago. I'm a little fatter and a little grayer, as you might be able to see on the video, but hopefully still in line with what's acceptable. I'm excited today. This event is one of the first that we've done just for residential board and care, for care homes. And those of you that are on the line, you are in that business, hopefully, and that's who we've invited here. We're excited to be able to launch some new things for you and for the industry at large. And it's a place near and dear to my heart. I did, my background, I built a couple of started out with a couple of home care agencies and built that into a couple of national franchises at one point. Along the way, even though we were in-home care agencies for the most part, along the way, we wound up acquiring through one means or another. As we acquired agencies, we wound up acquiring several residential board and care homes. I will fully admit that I wasn't in the day-to-day management of them, but definitely was overseeing their operation and have a sweet spot in my heart. Plus, I have to tell you something interesting. So my mother is in her 80s, and we have had long discussions. And in the last couple of years, she has suffered some setbacks, and so we have taken a look at all sorts of senior living options. And I did what many dutiful sons might do along the way. As I said, hey mom, I'll find you the Taj Mahal of senior living, right? I'll find you the biggest, nicest place for you to live, and all that kind of stuff. And when it came right down to it, she said, I really just want to be in a residential board and care home. That's what I really enjoy. I enjoy being in a really nice, comfortable, home-like setting. And so that's what she's currently doing. I have a very deep love and abiding endearment towards what you do. So I'm glad that you're on the line. Today, I want to talk to you about some ways that you can be even more successful at what you're doing. I'm probably preaching to the choir. Those of you that are joining us on this webinar probably have some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today in line, but if you can pick up one idea or two ideas that can help you out, and we've got some announcements that will be very exciting for you as well. But we're going to talk about the state of the market today and how it's shifting and how that plays into what you can do. It's an advantage to you. Part of that is we're going to talk about 5 keys to competing with the big communities. I know that as a residential board and care home, one of the things that's constantly on the mind of any owner, operator, manager of a community is that you've got all of the big senior living communities, the assisted living, big building operations going on around you. And sometimes, it feels kind of weird. It feels kind of tough to compete. But I'll share with you 5 ways, 5 keys to competing and show you how you can. There are many that are doing very, very well and competing very well. And by the way, that'll lead us to talking about the 5 biggest mistakes that get made. So those keys, the opposite of them are the mistakes. We also have an exciting new opportunity with Caring that I'll share with you some changes on what we're doing. And we'll talk about how to get started with what we talk about today, how to get started marketing your business. And then we'll open it up to QA. We'll take as many questions as we have time for today. So with that, let me see if I've got, if my controls are working here. Okay. So let's talk about the state of the industry. We do have a shift in clientele that's been going on for a while, but is accelerating, and it's to your benefit. So let's talk about that acceleration and your benefit here. The primary shift, as you all know, you have to be living under a rock if you don't know this, is that we have a major shift in the way that people shop. People in the past, when I first got into the business, and many of you have been around and have seen this transition. When I first got into the business, 100% of what we did was referral-based marketing. We would go out and talk to all of the doctors, all the discharge planners, everybody that had anything to do with seniors, all professionals that worked with seniors, trust officers at banks and financial planners and social workers and you name it. And our whole goal was to create a buzz in the community, a word of mouth buzz. The only advertising we ever did was obviously occasionally we would put ads in Yellow Pages or Senior Living magazine. We'd test some ads here or there. But most of all, it was all word of mouth. It was all about getting people to refer potential clients to us. That has been dropping significantly over the last few years. In fact, in many markets, it's down below 70% of the business still comes in that way. It's still a viable way of doing business, and you should be engaged in that kind of referral-based network. But more and more, we're seeing the shift go online. In some markets, and especially now with COVID in our recent couple months here, we've seen an even more accelerated shift. In some markets, we're below 50% now comes from referral marketing, and the rest is shifting online. But there's an interesting element to that, and that is that more and more people are conducting their initial searches online. It has to do with who's searching. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But what's also happening is more and more people, even the ones that were referred by a professional, are doing, they're checking you out online first. And we're going to talk a lot about that and how you can make sure that you're ready for that. Because here's what's happening more and more. I was talking to a doctor a couple of weeks ago, and he owns quite a number of senior care operations, senior care businesses. And we were talking about this trend. he was rolling his eyes. He said, it used to be that I would tell people to go take a medication and they would run right out to the pharmacy, buy the medication and take it. Now what's happening is I tell them to take a medication. They go home, they go on Google, or even before they leave the office, they get on their phone and they get on Google and they Google it, they look it up. And then they argue with me about whether it's the best medication. He says, being a doctor is kind of interesting these days. And that's happening more and more. Even if you are getting referrals from the local discharge planner, from the local rehab, from the local pharmacist, whoever is referring to you, people are still looking you up online first. And they're deciding whether to engage with you, whether to follow through on that referral based on what they see online. So a huge shift is going on. Now, here's the cool part about that shift. For everybody on this call, if you're involved in residential board and care communities, whether it's one home or several homes, the bottom line is this opens up a huge opportunity to compete on an equal level with the big players in the market, right? When you have your Brookdales and your Holidays and your big, corporate giants with hundreds of rooms and beds at each community, the bottom line is that online levels the playing field. The internet levels that playing field to some degree, and you now have the opportunity to source even more people taking a look if you do things right. But you also, if you're not working that properly, have the opportunity to lose business in the process. So it's a double-edged sword. I'm going to show you today some tips and some techniques, some best practices gleaned from people that are doing really well with online marketing on how to do that, how to make sure that you're competing and winning because of online marketing. All right, there we go. All right, so every month people are looking online, and we know because we see the numbers. So those of you that don't know, caring.com is a website that, as Denise said, has been around for more than a decade now. We are very highly trafficked. What you see on screen is just 1 month's worth of traffic on just one of our, just on caring.com. The truth is, as I'll explain in just a moment, we now own quite a number of other websites with a lot of traffic as well. And so we see a tremendous amount of people searching online for senior care options. The big question is, are they seeing you in the process? We're going to talk about how to make sure that that happens. All right, so oops, it's being very finicky here. There we go. So older adults form part of that. We find that about 30% of the calls that we field are from seniors themselves who are looking to care for either themselves or a spouse. But primarily who we're seeing, and this is where the trend is accelerating, is that it's the children, as you all know, it's the children of the seniors that make the best potential clients, in the sense that they make a lot of the decisions and get a lot of the work done in terms of research and helping mom or helping dad to find the right setting for them. And so this is the person that we really need to be after, and more she is going online. In fact, it's the younger baby boomers who make up the predominant number of these people right now. But as the Gen Xers and the millennials start to take care of their parents in ever increasing numbers, this trend will only accelerate. I mean, we're at the beginning of a wave that if you're not prepared for, will sink you. But if you're prepared for, it can be some of the best times of your business. And to do that, you've got to get to know who this consumer is. Who is it that's looking, and how do we attract this person? We affectionately call her Mary only because that was the most popular name for her generation. But it could be Nancy or Susan, also popular names for the generation. And you know who this is because you talk to her a lot. She's the adult child of seniors. Usually it is the daughter and occasionally a son, but it's the adult child of seniors looking for their parents and looking for options. But here's the interesting thing. This adult daughter is very different from adult daughters of even one generation ago, in that she's a lot busier. She's probably working a full-time job. She's also part of the sandwich generation in that she's probably still got children or young adults at home, and she's taking care of parents, so she's sandwiched between them two, the both of them. She's extremely busy running back and forth to work and carpools and shopping and all this kind of stuff in terms of managing family. And now she's got, on top of that, she's got senior care issues because she didn't really do much because of her busyness until she was prompted by a medical situation. mom fell, or dad's Alzheimer's suddenly got worse, right? He got lost one night, or he lashed out, and suddenly it became apparent that he needs more help. And so the bottom line is she's prompted by some sort of medical situation. Something has happened recently that's even further overloaded her. She's already working very hard, and now she's running back and forth to rehab because mom fell, and she is in rehab for a few days or a couple weeks, depending on what happened. And so she's running back and forth, stressed, confused, pressed for time. And yet she's very educated, very independent, likes to do her own research. In fact, she's the one that has the mild distrust of professionals. She's the one that when the doctor says, take this medication, she Googles it first, right? So this is who we're after. And yet this is who's making the vast majority of decisions. This is who we need to attract, and this is who's going online, because she goes online to do her research. Now, by the way, we'll talk about this more, but she relies heavily on consumer reviews, and she loves to look at impartial third-party authorities like Caring.com and other directories that we'll talk about. The bottom line is she has a little bit of distrust. She doesn't even go to individual websites that often. I mean, she does ultimately, but initially she understands that your website's probably biased towards you, right? And so she likes to look at third parties. She loves to look at consumer reviews. She likes to read articles. She does her research first. That's just who she is and what she's used to doing. So the whole goal is, how do we attract more Marys? How do we get her to look at you as a viable option? And the solution is to really build an online marketing channel. We're going to talk today about some tips, 5 keys to doing this, on how to generate leads, turn them into conversions, right? How to make sure that your image and your presence online is such that you are doing that constantly. And that is the key. You can continue to try and attract Mary through, and you should continue to try and do it through referral-based marketing, but she is taking those referrals with less and less authority, and she's looking online more and more these days than she ever has before. Now, a part of that though, whoops, there we go. Part of that though is that it's going to require a different strategy, and that's what today is about. Online marketing is very different from referral marketing. If you've been used to referral marketing, it's a great deal, but referral marketing, and I've spent a career doing this, I love it, involves a lot of time and effort and expense up front, because you have to go and establish relationships, right? You've got to go meet with every doctor and every discharge planner and every social worker and anybody else in the community that could refer business. Sometimes it can take months or even years to develop the kind of trust and relationship to where they start referring business to you. You get a lot fewer leads, but let's face it, when those leads do come in, a high percentage of them wind up converting into clients, right? They wind up moving in because of the referral. Now that's lowering a little bit because of who, again, the online shopping that happens afterwards, but it typically was fewer leads, higher conversion. And so frankly, it was a little easy to get lazy on sales systems. I've seen it. I've been there. My franchisees have been there. Lots of people I've talked to. We get so used to a referral from a professional automatically moving in sometimes that frankly, we just get lazy in how we treat them. We don't call back as often. We let them do most of the work. We don't even put people in charge of the phone that are good salespeople, et cetera, right? Because many of them are predisposed to buy. And so it's okay to build that in some senses, but that's shifting. So the online marketing requires a different strategy. It's a lot faster, very inexpensive to generate leads. You can generate a lot of leads for almost nothing, right? And yet it's a lower conversion rate, and you have to have a good marketing and sales system, because a lot of them are shopping and need to be educated, and they don't know, they haven't been referred by somebody necessarily. So there's a lot more salesmanship and a better process that needs to be there. So we're definitely going to talk about some of that here. And in particular, what we want to do is we want to get to a point where we've got these 5 keys in line. So 5 steps. If you got your pen and paper, and we are recording this, we'll send it out to you. But if you want to take some notes, 5 keys. And as I go along, the 5 biggest mistakes, right, or the opposite. So here's step number 1. As a residential board and care community, we've seen a lot of them do extremely well. We have a lot of them that get move-ins and move-ins and move-ins, and they're filling up and the second, home and a third home, et cetera, et cetera. And the way to do that, it starts with these 5 steps. So here's step number 1. The first step is you've got to build good enhanced listings in online directories. Because here's the bottom line. In today's internet world and today's world in general, Mary, this internet shopper, is likely to see your listing on a site like caring.com before she ever sees you or your website, right? In fact, most of the time, she'll never go see your particular home, and she'll never go to your website until she sees you on these directories. And we are one of the largest and one of the best. So let's talk about that. Again, Mary likes to Google her options. She's going to do so. And whether you like it or not, just the way of the world, search engines these days, Google ranks people based on traffic, based on all sorts of relevancy, deals that they have. They keep it a little bit of a mystery, but they have certain rankings, search engine optimization that they call it. And those natural rankings are such that sites like caring.com get ranked very, very highly. In fact, number 1 or number 2 in just about every market. In most markets, when you punch in, assisted living in whatever, blank market, here on the left, you'll see I punched in assisted living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we came up number 1, right? So she winds up punching that in. She finds it. She goes right to it. Also, Mary's looking for information. She loves reading the articles. She loves educating herself. We have tens of thousands of articles that are available across the net and thousands on our site. And so she winds up on our site often to read those articles. She also loves looking at comparisons, and our site is set up like a directory. So this kind of listing site like caring.com is set up that way. And as I mentioned before, caring.com also owns a number of other sites that display the same directory. So as she goes through, for instance, we have seniorhomes.com and Senior Housing Net and several others that display the directory or feed into our call center. And so she winds up on any one of those sites, she winds up coming back through us. So here's the bottom line, is that she will often see your listing on our sites before she'll ever see your site. And so the key is, what does that listing look like? You got to make it look good. And here's the first big mistake that a lot of smaller players don't pay attention to, and therefore they make the mistake. If the listing does not look great, Mary's not going to go forward. So in our directory, we have what are called basic listings and enhanced listings. And it comes from sort of the paradigm. We built our directory, and most directories are built somewhat like the old Yellow Pages. Most of us on the phone are old enough to have used the Yellow Pages in the past. And we know that when you used to look in the Yellow Pages, the Yellow Pages had the mission of listing everybody. Their goal was, if you were in business, you got in there. But you were in there as just a basic listing. It was just your name, a little bit of contact information, and that was it. If you wanted more information there, if you wanted to look better, you had to partner with the Yellow Pages, right? You had to enhance your listing. And so when you looked in the Yellow Pages, you had all these line item basic listings, and then all around them, there were ads for partners of the Yellow Pages, full page, quarter page, half page, inline ads, all sorts of stuff, right? Well, our directory and most online work similar to that, in the sense that we have basic and enhanced listings. We want you to partner with us to become an enhanced listing because of all the power that it gives you. In the middle of the screen, you'll see, first of all, basic listings rank lower in our listing list, and you'll see that they're much more sparse. They typically either have a stock photo or no photo at all. It's just a name and address, and that's about all we have, right? Maybe a couple reviews that happened, organically, but the bottom line is there's not much there. In fact, when you click on a basic listing, because there's not much there, we fill the space around it with ads for our enhanced partners. So on the right here, you'll see a basic listing, and all around it are ads for people that have partnered with us. They have enhanced listings. So the first step is to make sure that you have an enhanced listing. The enhanced listing is completely different. It makes you stand out. You can put in multiple pictures, extensive descriptions, right? There's no other ads for other partners around it. Your telephone, your website address can be in the description. There's a lot of things in here that ultimately make you stand out. So right in the middle here is an example. Harmony Residential Care. I don't know if any representative from Harmony is on today, but they've done a marvelous job of marketing. And, they're a residential board and care home that does extremely well. They rank very highly. In fact, they rank above a lot of the bigger communities in their area, and they've built out their listing. So there's 2 steps to this. Number 1 is to make sure that you have an enhanced listing in every directory. The second thing is to make sure that you dress up that listing, right? We give you the enhanced listing, but then you've got to put in the pictures, and the pictures need to showcase your property in a really nice way. Showcase not only the property, but what it looks and feels like to live in that property. You also need to write the description in a way that really describes what you do, what you specialize in, what's unique, and what's great about you. If it's just a very short blurb, that doesn't speak very well. So you want to list out the services and things that you want to do. We have all sorts of categories and whatnot that you can select. So step number 1 is to really make sure that your listings show in the best light. Mistake number 1 is to be listed on sites like ours and not have a really good listing, not be enhanced, and not have the information in there that is needed. Where's my forward arrow? There it is. So here's the biggest important question that we always ask people, right? On this step number 1, mistake number 1 is Mary is going to Google. She's going to look. And when she looks, what will be her impression of your community when she sees your current listing in our directory, right? We want to make sure that you're enhanced, but we also need you to make sure that it shines. So if you want to compete with the best, I can tell you that the Brookdales of the world, that the Atrias of the world, the big communities, the big national corporate brands with hundreds of beds, they spend time on their listing. They put in pictures, they put in descriptions, they make sure that all the amenities are listed. They spend time to really sell it, if you will. And all those tools are available to you. We want you to be able to do that, and that's step number 1. Now, step number 2 is equally, if not more important. You obviously have to have a good looking listing. The image has to be right. But these days, Mary not only looks at the image, she looks at the pictures, but she also is huge on reviews. And you all know this because you are too. I am too. It's a way we shifted, right? Today, this amazing study always makes me, sort of chuckle and shake my head, but 8 in 10 people report that online reviews are much more trustworthy than even personal recommendations. They trust them more than even a friend. And I always thought, this isn't true. But then I noticed my own behavior. If my best friend tells me to go see a movie, but everybody online hates it, I actually start to question my best friend a little bit. We recently had to buy a new dishwasher, and my sister-in-law recommended one. Well, guess what my wife did? She looked it up online. It had terrible reviews. And so my wife said, well, we're not buying that one. I said, but it's your sister. She said, yeah, but she's wrong about a lot of things. So ultimately, we trust online reviews more than personal recommendations these days. And Mary is going to look for that. In fact, it's one of the primary things that she looks for. So here's an interesting thing that happens these days. I don't know if you've tried Googling your name, your business name, but when you Google the name, Google pops up a summary alongside the listing for your business, for your website. And in that summary, there are several things that pop up that people click on before they click on your website, right? Increasingly, the statistics show that they click on pictures, reviews, and directions as much or more than the website. So you'll see in here on the left-hand side, here's the same residential board and care community, Harmony. And when you Google their name, I just Googled their name, and that's a screenshot. It pops up, and first of all, Google pops up their own reviews. They're trying to review everything. But most of the time where Mary goes is she goes down and she says, oh, they only got 13. But if you look down here below at Caring, right, there's a lot more reviews. I'm going to go there. It seems like a more robust place to go. And they wind up clicking there. And so now they're reading the reviews on the site. Reviews have become absolutely huge. Plus, here's the thing that's most important when you think about competing. Your reviews elevate you, or can elevate you, in the ranking process. Within the basic and enhanced categories on our site, rankings are based on your reviews. So you can show up even above the largest communities if you have more and better reviews. It's, it's how it works. And in fact, in Mary's mind, that's the way it should be, right? The ones that have more traffic, more people reviewing, better reviews, that's what she wants to see. And so consumers are looking for reviews first, and you can actually elevate yourself to where you appear alongside or right below or right above some of the biggest communities in the area if you have, again, a nice listing and reviews. So you've got to make sure that you've got an enhanced listing on each directory site. You've got to make sure that you've dressed it up well, and now you've got to really work on reviews. Now, we do a lot to make sure that that our partners have the tools to do that, because it's so important. Let me give you some statistics that are just amazing to think of. We've done studies, we've repeated it a couple times, looking at the impact of reviews. And here's what we found. In the left-hand column in the grid at the bottom, it's the number of reviews that partners of ours have. People that have 1 or 2 reviews versus people, if you go down the list, with 15 or more. Look across and look at the impact of what they get from their listing and from their presence. It turns out that people with 15 or more compared to the 1 or 2 have 8 times the move-in volume, 8 times more residents because of it. They have 5 times more leads that come to their listing, right, or come from their listing. And when they're scheduling tours, they schedule 7 times the number of tours. So the bottom line is, going from 1 or 2 reviews up to 15 or more dramatically changes the lead volume, the lead quality, the impact of those leads. Ultimately, it changes your business. It changes how many people see you, move into your community. It makes all the difference in the world. So reviews are huge. You've got to work on the reviews. Now, how do you do that? Well, every listing, this thing keeps jumping forward here. Every listing has, I can get back to it. Okay, every listing has, there it is, a write a review button on it. And you can definitely run campaigns to do that. Now, unlike many others, we have a whole team that curates reviews. You can't fake a review. It doesn't work. And we don't allow it. So the bottom line is, unlike many others, we have strict standards. We have a whole team that curates reviews, that takes a look at them, that makes sure that they're appropriate and proper. But if you get clients to this write a review button, you can build your reviews very, very quickly. Now, in addition to that, when people partner with us, we have all sorts of tools. Many of you that are on the line are using these tools. If you're a partner of ours and you're not, you need to start using them. One of the challenges, again, one of the big mistakes that people make is the opposite of what I'm telling you to do, is they don't really work on their reviews and they don't manage their online reputation well. That includes some people that are already partnered with us. Sometimes they partner with us and they say, oh, I'll wait for whatever lead you send me. But the bottom line is, as we'll see in just a moment, that's a problem, because the leads come through in higher volume and they convert better when you've worked your reviews. So you've got to use these tools. We'll go very quickly through a couple of them here, but one of them is when you're a partner of ours, every time you get a review, we send you out an email that says, hey, this review is happening, and there's a couple links. Link number 1 is to post a response. Turns out that Mary loves responses. In fact, she actually likes it better than seeing everything being 5 stars. She actually kind of is suspicious a little bit of everything being 5 stars, because she knows that that's not real life. But she also loves the fact that, hey, it's 4.5 stars. There's only a couple negatives, and the business owner took the time to respond to those negatives and even to a lot of the positives. The business owner is active, is working. There's also a contest this review. If it's, if there's inaccuracies or if there's problems with the review, you can contest it and our team will take a look at it. Saves you a lot of time and effort and helps you to manage your reputation. In addition to that, we have all sorts of tools to help you build reviews. We have a whole phone team that helps collect reviews by phone. We can call as a third party. Clients are much more likely to give us a review, and we post it directly on the site. Makes a big difference. Easy way to get that done. We have a postcard program. Again, not everybody returns them. It's a little bit slower, but We can supply postcards with self-addressed, addressed back to us and postage paid so that your clients can write on them and simply send them back. We also, in our partner portal, we have a reviews generator, which essentially helps you to send emails, bringing people back to that write a review. So you can pump up the number of reviews and really work on getting all of your clients to give you an online review. Again, huge impact. And we've already talked about the statistical impact, but here's one of the impacts is that we have a Consumer's Choice Award that we give out every year to qualifying companies. You saw on the Harmony one, they've won it numerous years in a row. And the bottom line is that this is huge. It elevates you in terms of the number of inquiries you get, twice as many inquiries and move-ins. And the bottom line is that it's been going on for a number of years. It's very coveted in the industry. We want you to win this. If you don't have this right now, if you're partnered with us and you have not won this, it's time to repent. It's time to get back on board and get this done, right? Work on getting more reviews, work on responding to reviews, go through the criteria to win the award. We want you to win this award because it makes a major difference for you and certainly helps you to show better on the site. You can also put it on your website and things like that. So here's the biggest question. The biggest question is, when Mary goes looking, based on your current reviews, is she likely to call you as opposed to your competitors? Because here's what happens. Even when we refer you to somebody, even when the doctor refers somebody to you, what's Mary doing these days? She's going back online. She's taking a look at your listing. She says, okay, how does this look? What does the description say? But then she's looking at your reviews. And she's saying, based on the reviews, do I want to even call these people? I don't care if the doctor said call them. Do I want to call them based on what the reviews say? If you've got no reviews or just a couple and they're not very good at that, it's a problem, right? So the biggest thing we want to help you do is gather reviews and manage your online reputation, because that's the next step, and it's the biggest mistake that people make beyond not having good listings. So again, mistakes to not make: don't have a basic listing. Second is manage your reviews. Make sure that your reviews aren't small numbers and bad reviews. Make sure you've got some really good numbers going on. Okay. Now here's an interesting thing. This has become the modern day drive-by. I want you to think about this. You've all done this. You've all had it been done to you in the past, right? What do people do? I mean, this is an old real estate metaphor. People drive by a house to see if they even want to go inside and look at it, right? It's called the drive-by. They drive by a business to see if it's even worth their time to look at. Well, guess what? You've all had people drive by you in the past. If you've been around for any length of time, that happens. And so obviously keeping the look and feel of your home really nice makes a difference. The modern day drive-by, though, is not happening in a car anymore, right? People used to drive by the home in a car and to see if I want to actually go in and see. Now they simply look up the reviews and pictures and things like that online before they decide to even tour. So I've often had people say, oh, I get leads and then nobody ever shows up. Nobody ever comes to the tour. Why is that? And so I quickly punch them up online and I say, well, I know immediately why. Your reviews aren't good, or they aren't there, right? They're doing a drive-by and they're deciding, no, I don't think I'll go to that one, right? Nobody's saying favorable things about them. So if you're not getting tours from your leads, check your online reputation. All right, so step number one is you want to make sure your listings are good. Step number two is you want to make sure that your online reputation, your reviews and the management of them are really good. Third step is you want to receive as many leads from as many different sources, but track them. Okay, in addition, and that goes right to part of what we do, in addition to those that call you directly, which you need to track, you need to have a way to capture every one of those. Thousands speak to us and we want to be able to send those to you. Are you getting those leads is a big question. So how do you do that? Well, again, you've got to build a funnel. A lot of people, unfortunately, if they haven't spent a lot of time in marketing, sales, if they haven't really thought through the business, they're looking at it one lead at a time. They judge everything by the quality of the last lead. But the reality is it's a numbers game. You've got to build a funnel. You've got to build a funnel where you have thousands of leads coming in over time. Some of them may come from us. Some of them may come from other online sources. Some of them may come from your own website, your own marketing efforts. Some may come from all of the referral marketing that you do. but you've got to have a funnel where all those come in. They are triaged to decide, okay, these are valid inquiries. And then these are the ones qualified. They're qualified based on location and care needs and budget and the amenities they desired. It's a good fit for us. Now we have a good subset to work on, and it's not a one-time deal, right? This is our pool of potential people to work on, and we're going to work on them from here until they move in, right? That's how a good sales funnel is run. There's an acquisition step, and there's a qualifying step. Then, once they're qualified, now we're going to work on, it's a full court press to work on showing them the benefits of working with us. So do you have a good sales funnel? Unfortunately, a lot of people say no. And one of the first steps is I always wind up asking them, okay, do you have a CRM, a contact management system, or database, at least, even if it's just an Excel spreadsheet, where you're capturing every lead that comes into the business, where it came from, and then you've got follow-up mechanisms. So there's a lot of good software out there to help you. Our partners have a partner portal that tracks the leads that we send them, but you should also have your own CRM, your own way of doing it, where you're capturing all that, and over time you're remarketing to those people, whether they moved in right away or not. It's usually a telltale sign for me. Whenever I get asked to consult or to talk to anybody, one of the first questions in this area is, show me your CRM. And if it's not well organized and you're not constantly marketing to it, we got a problem. Okay. Now, by the way, it's not just that you capture all the leads. That's the marketing step. But step number 4 is to have a great sales system. And I don't mean, well, I've got Mary. She does double duty as, she manages one of the care homes for me, and then she picks up calls whenever they come in. Well, Mary's a wonderful nurse, possibly, or caregiver, but is Mary really the best person? That's another question. Do we have a great sales system? Are we calling back on leads? A couple of quick statistics here that are kind of interesting. I talk to a lot of people, and they say, well, I'm just not, I'm getting leads from a variety of sources, but I'm not able to close them. And I say, well, okay, how many calls are you making? Well, we place a call, we leave a message, we never hear back from them. Well, guess what? Your competitors, the big ones especially, are making a lot more than one call. Turns out that from 2007 to 2017, over a 10-year span, the number of calls that it takes on average to actually talk to somebody has more than doubled, right? And it's gone up even a little bit since then, since 2017. So we're a little bit more than 8 calls necessary to actually talk to people. Why? Because Mary's hugely busy. Think about her, right? She's got a full-time job. She's in meetings. She's having to do reports and handle her own business stuff. And then she's got kids and husband and parents to deal with. And oh, by the way, now she's running back and forth to the rehab where mom is, and she's trying to get groceries into, her dad, and she's trying to do this, that, and the other thing. She's so busy. She's so stressed. She doesn't answer every phone call, and neither do you, right? How many phone calls do you just let roll to voicemail because it comes in on your cell phone? You don't have time to do it, so you just let it go. You don't answer every phone call, neither does she. So why would you expect to call her once and have her immediately call you back or respond via voicemail? I've even talked to care home administrators that have told me, no, if they're not even serious if they don't call me back. Oh, get off it, right? People are just not that way. You've got to build a system that gets more people, more calls out to people. I can tell you your competitors have, teams of people that's all they do is they call and call and call until they get a hold of people. Now, in addition to that, it's not just once that you talk to people, right? Again, I hear this all the time. Oh, we called them, we got a hold of them, and they're looking around. I'm not going to call them back. Well, guess what? The business comes in after actually talking to them multiple times. You can't just talk to them once. So do you have a sales system that gets them to talk to people? It turns out most people move in after quite a number of contacts. Some of those are in-person tours. Some of those are in-depth conversations on the phone. You've got to have a system where you've got somebody calling, and not just calling, but talking and working through those contacts with them. Are you connecting with them in other means besides the telephone? Do you use text messaging? Are you emailing them? Instant messaging? Are you calendaring events? Are you on social networks, Facebook, LinkedIn, things like that? Do you send links to videos and online meetings? Are you mailing them things, right? There's a constant effort that needs to go into it. I don't have time to go through an entire system here, but you should have a whole call cadence that goes on, where literally when a lead comes in, you've got a process. In the first day, you're calling them several times, leaving one voicemail, unless you reach them, and then obviously you can move on to a different sales cycle. If you haven't reached them, day 2, you're still making more calls. You're connecting with them on social media. You're sending out direct mail if you have an address, right? By day 3, you're still emailing and texting, and then by day 4, they're put into your drip campaign. You're still calling again on day 5 and on day 7 and so forth. Again, you don't have to follow this, what I put up online, but the bottom line is there needs to be a specific contact cadence that you can work through on these leads in order to convert them. And the reason for calling, and this is huge, is to get them from being just a phone call. What did I do? Okay, I think I accidentally touched the wrong button there. Not just a phone call, but you've got to get them into tour. Now, this is an area that a lot of residential board and care struggle with. We have in times past not booked tours for many of them because they're not ready to give a tour at any time. And so you've got to set yourself up in a way that you can give more tours more often. The purpose of the phone call should be to get them on site. Turns out that when we do set tours and we track our statistics, when we set a tour for people that are looking, regardless of whether or not they show up for the tour, just the fact that they set a tour, and most of them do show, but even if they don't, the conversion rate is 5 times higher on tours that we set versus not. So the impact of tours is huge. Your calls should be all about setting tours. Are you set up to do that? Okay. Last couple items here. I can get this screen to advance here. There we go. Is you've got to do this constantly. One of the other challenges that I find a lot of times is that we're in this thing where, I don't do anything until I have a vacancy. Then when I have a vacancy, then I pour it on, trying to get trying to get that vacancy filled. But that's not the way that the biggest competitors are doing it. That's not the way that you should do it. You should always keep a sales and marketing system going. You never know when there's going to be a vacancy. And frankly, vacancies are costly. You know that. The longer you go with a vacancy, the more money you're losing. But here's a little interesting tip in psychology. Did you know that showing people your community when it's full actually increases their desire to be there? When something's not full, people question, is it really that good, right? Again, it's part of that, social proof that happens. If it's always full, people want to do it. This is to the point where that bars and restaurants will often hold a line out the door, just even if they're empty inside, just to show people, hey, there's lots of people wanting to get in here, right? The more you can be full and show people what's going on while you're full, the more excited they are to be there. So build waiting lists, right? You can even, if you have multiple care homes, you can even trade referrals between them and have, or if you get a big enough waiting list, you can even open up a second care home, right? There's all sorts of things to do. So don't ever stop the roll. Don't ever stop the process. Again, we can go through a lot of these details, but the 5th key is to get good training and support. Unfortunately, this is a big key to doing this, is to get with a lot of people that can help you. A big mistake is a lot of care homeowners try to go it alone. They don't get the training and support that they need. When you're partnered with us, our family advisors, we have a team of them around the country, continue to follow up with people. They're accessible. You can reach out to them and should be reaching out to them because they're working with people and they become allies to help you fill the community. In addition to that, we do a tremendous amount of training through our partner site. We do sales and marketing webinars like this constantly. We have a partner blog. We have an expert Rolodex. And your ability to get involved there and learn and get things going is huge. So again, 5 keys to really competing with the best. Number 1 is make sure your listing looks the best and is the best. Number 2 is make sure that your online reputation is up to par, that you have lots of reviews and that you're managing that appropriately. Number 3 is make sure that you are gathering and managing all the lead flow, not just from online, but offline, and putting them into a system. And number 4 is make sure that that system is robust, that you're making the calls, that you're reaching out to them, that you've got somebody on it, and it's more than just 1 call or 2 calls, that you're driving towards a tour. You're getting as many tours and you're measuring those keys. And then finally, get the training and support necessary to constantly keep yourself energized. Now at caring.com, we've got a lot of things going on. And one of them is that we've taken a look recently at how do we help you more? How do we help our residential board and care homes to be even more robust, even more competitive? How do we, we think it's a huge benefit to the community, to seniors that we deal with, that we try to help, to have you be very good at what you do. So we're doing quite a bit right now, and we're changing some things to make sure that it's a huge opportunity for you. First of all, in the past, we've always had a program where we gave 4 things out. Now, unfortunately, some of our partners haven't taken advantage of all these 4 things. So if you're one of those, time to get going on these 4. But we have an enhanced partner leads program where we build an enhanced listing for you. Obviously, you've got to supply the content, but we enhance you in our directory. Then we give you several tools to be able to manage your online reviews, right? To increase the number of them and manage them effectively. We send you pre-screened leads, right? And we really work those inquiries and leads, in addition to the additional pre-screened ones that we do. And then we have all the training and support that is there. But we've looked at it and said, there's some further enhancements we can do for our care home owners. So there's several things that we are shifting, and over the next couple months, we're excited to announce that there's going to be some major changes in the way that we work with our care home owners to your advantage. Okay, so a couple things. Number one is we're looking for serious partners in doing this. We want people that are serious about ongoing marketing systems, about keeping your home full all the time. We're looking to list you on more and more sites. We continue to grow. We are announcing this week an acquisition of a major site, huge amounts of traffic that is being added, and all of the listings are going on multiple sites. It's not just caring.com, right? There's multiple sites, and we have even more, dozens of sites that feed into our call center where people are looking for senior living options. And so that is growing tremendously, and we're including our care home partners on all of these sites. In addition to that, your listings will now include your contact information. In the past, in order to help you out, we were funneling everything through our call center. But again, by popular demand and through your request, we want to be able to send those to you. Again, our serious partners will have a method and a means for collecting that, measuring, and we're even going to work on developing and building reports that help with that. We're also, again, by popular request, we're allowing our family advisors to set tours if you can promise to conduct them. Again, we won't set them automatically, but if you would like us to set tours for you, we will begin setting tours for you in this new program. Again, you have to be ready to give the tours. As I already mentioned, more reporting. We're going to be sending out reports of traffic on the site and calls that have gone out to you and things of that nature. We're also not charging the way that we used to charge. We used to charge a percentage of first month, on a move-in. And so what that created was a scenario where you were tracking move-ins and reporting back to us, and sometimes that was happening, sometimes it wasn't. We all get busy. And it was, 85% or such of the first month, a fairly large fee. We have some folks that, have 4 or 5 move-ins in a year, and we really appreciate it. They've paid us a lot of money, and that's good. But we have others that haven't reported any move-ins. And again, we're not sure if it's just because they're busy or because their sales system isn't working. We're doing away with that. If you're on an existing contract with us to do that, you'll still be on that contract until you choose to change for the next couple months. But there will come a point where we will be phasing those out. In exchange, what we're doing is an ongoing subscription at a much lower rate. Again, accountability higher. We're looking for some good partners at a very low subscription rate. That way, we've got the best of all worlds, right? You're able to do it for much cheaper. We're able to make sure that we've got good partners that are working every lead. So here's what it's worth, and here's my wrap up, and then we'll, if we, based on the time, we'll take Q&A here. Ultimately, what we're doing is the following. In the past, and some in the market have charged for enhanced listings in a directory. We just acquired one that was, that was charging a couple $100 a month just to be in the directory. And in the past, that's what we've charged for just a plain directory listing for many verticals. Online reputation management, there's a lot of companies out there that'll do it for you. They tend to charge quite a bit. I know one that's charging $7.95 a month for reputation management. Again, whether or not you're doing it, whether or not you would spend that is up to you, but that's what it's valued in the marketplace. Pre-screen leads, which we deliver. I know lots of places where it costs you $100 a lead, direct mail programs, dinner appointment programs, all sorts of things. And as I already mentioned, in the past, most people were paying up to 100%, sometimes 85% of the first month, or in many cases, $2,500 to $3,500 per move-in that you got. So here's what we're doing instead, is that we are going forward, we are charging just the $200 per month to be listed in our directory. We give you all of the online reputation management as our gift, and we're going to send you pre-screen leads, and we will book tours at no charge if you're ready to take them. And then we are eliminating the 85%. We're only charging $500 for a move-in, but we're crediting that towards next year's subscription. So in essence, it's a wash. And I'll tell you why we're doing that. One is that we want to work with the best partners. We want to be able to track what the move-ins are. So it's purely an incentive to track the move-ins. It also incents our family advisors because they get a small portion of that as well. So it's the best of all worlds. But the bottom line is it winds up being a wash. If you have several move-ins during the year, next year's almost free. So you wind up with this ability to simply go with the monthly charge, and frankly, that's less than even one move-in would have been. In addition to that, the biggest question for you to ask is, am I willing to spend a couple $100 per month to do all the things that we've talked about, to enhance your online presence in the largest senior care directories, to build your online reputation, to receive screen leads and tours, and to receive advice, training, and best practices. That's our proposition to you, and we're going to be switching that over the next couple of months. So we have a great incentive right now, and that is that right now, those of you that want to switch over, or if you're brand new to us, if you want to take action now, we're offering a discount before we're doing the final switch. All of the things are ready to roll. All of the benefits are there, but we will discount the monthly subscription fee to $165 for the next year, or you can save even more money by prepaying it at $1,500 per year. So that's our offer, and that's what we're excited to be able to announce. It's a big initiative. We want to really own the market in terms of the best listings for residential board and care homes. We want great partners where we're all benefiting together and we're getting the most out of the relationship with each other. We're all excited to work together. So if you want to do this with you, I'm going to open it up to Q&A, but here's what you need to do after this call is you need to contact your account executive with Caring. We'll pop up the number in just a moment. We send you out a quick DocuSign of our agreement, and then we'll get the listing information for you. You can continue to upgrade and should continue to upgrade everything on your listing. We'll give you some training on how to do that. And then you begin building your reviews, and we'll give you the training on how to use the tools, and you'll begin receiving the calls and leads many of you already have. Okay. So again, as a wrap up here, we promise, our promise going forward is to really partner well with our residential board and care communities. And it's our goal to really make this something that's a huge win. So the key takeaways from here, the market's changing. Online is becoming huge. Whether you like it or not, this is a runaway train. It's going to become huge in the future. You have to build your online presence. Your reputation and your image are critical, so build them well. You have to have a good, consistent sales system to follow up with. And we would love to partner with you. We've got a new program, lower costs, more features, tremendous incentive right now to get things going. So with that, let's open it up to Q&A. I know we ran a little bit long, but we'll hold open the Q&A here for 10, 15 minutes if we have questions. Denise, you want to instruct them on how to Q&A here?
Yeah, so you should be seeing a Q&A box. You can go ahead and enter questions, and then we will ask the question. We won't reveal your name, and Peter or I will answer it depending on the topic. So don't be shy. We're currently not seeing any submitted questions, but we'll give it a second.
While we're doing that, why don't you go to the next slide and we'll tell you how to contact your account executive and us in general for this. And we'll come
Great.
back to questions.
Okay, great. Here is our telephone number and email if you're interested in the information that Peter shared and becoming a partner with Caring, or you just have some more questions. And also, we welcome your feedback. At the end of this session, you're going to be prompted with a survey to share feedback on the presentation. Okay, great. A few questions have now come in. We have a question about how does our site different from some of the other referral sites out there?
So there are really two major players in the industry, and whether it's known or not, most of the sites out there are either part of us or a part of a place for mom. Our site, caring.com, is, in addition to that, we own sites like Paying for Senior Care and senioradvice.com and seniorhomes.com, and Senior Housing Net is a brand new acquisition as of this week. Huge traffic there. We're excited about that. Assisted Living Today and About Assisted Living, and a number of other sites. Now, each site has a slightly different character to it because we're looking to attract different people. What's different about our site is several things. Number one is that we pioneered online reviews. We're still the largest and oldest online review for senior care, and in my opinion, easily the best. And you can look and see the difference and how it works. The other thing is that we have really focused over the years on content and information. Our mission has always been to really help the family caregiver, the Mary, right, who's caring for her mother or her father, to get the resources she needs. So we have tremendous amounts of articles and information and reasons for her to come back over and over again to our site. And then the listings themselves, again, we work hard to make the listings very good in terms of both look and feel and the information they provide. That's the part that is probably the least different, in the sense that we are better than some in the way that our listings are laid out, but most sites that do list senior living will list them in some way and have information. But I think the biggest things are the reviews and the content of the site.
Thank you, Peter. Let's talk a little bit about the lead process and who calls or follows up with that initial lead. Is it the care home or caring.com? And if caring.com, how long does it take for our team to get back to that individual?
That's a great question. So when somebody comes to our site and looks, there's several ways that they interact with us. First of all, a large percentage of people have no idea what to look for. I mean, literally, they don't even know the terms to type in, right? They got there because they typed in something about senior care and they found us, but they don't know the difference between skilled nursing, assisted living. They don't know what residential board and care is as opposed to any other type of community or facility. And so often they are making general inquiries, and they do that through either forms that we have on the site that connect them to one of our family advisors, or through telephone numbers where they can call us directly. And in those cases, they speak to one of our family advisors. Now, here's the cool thing for you about that is that our family advisors, they are agnostic about who they're referring to. They're simply trying to help the family, but they help the family with the best options in the area. They have a tool that was proprietary to us where they can look up everybody in the local area and recommend the best options. And so they wind up sending you people that would have never clicked on your site, that would have never clicked on your listing on our site, because they didn't even know you existed. They didn't know the category existed half the time. So in those cases, we are the ones fielding the calls and then sending them to you. You get them via email or text message or in your portal, and then it's up to you to follow up. Now, it's in that process where we have the ability to schedule a tour or not schedule a tour. Again, it's your preference. You get to set that. In the past, we weren't scheduling any tours for residential board and care because too many of them weren't willing and able to do tours at the time. But we've had numerous requests, and so that's one of the changes that we're making, is we can book the tour for you, which saves you the time. Still means you need to reach out and welcome them, right? And tell them that you're ready and you're excited to see them. You can't just say, okay, well, the tour is coming, I can forget about it until they show up, right? You still need to reach out. Now, on your listing itself, people that go directly to your listing, you have the option of placing your phone number. And a lot of people want the phone number on there so that people go directly to you. In that case, they're bypassing our folks, and you're the one taking those calls and handling those calls directly. And so you need to be set up to be able to do that. So in two ways, the handoff is you need to have somebody ready to call people when they dial you directly from your listing and when we send you a lead. It does matter if you call them immediately. When we send you a lead, if you let it wait for several days, well, it grows pretty cold pretty quick, right? So the more rapidly you can contact people in both those scenarios, the better. And then as far as follow-up and things like that, we continue, if our family advisors have talked to people, we continue to follow up with them to see how they're doing and what choices they've made. We help them make those choices. But you should be following up as well. That's where those numbers of calls come in. So hopefully I've gone through that whole thing, but the bottom line is both of us are working it, and it depends on what they came in asking for, whether they were looking at your site directly, in which case they call you, or they're looking for general help, in which they call us, and then we send them to you.
Great. And then there was a follow-up question about that as if it's going through the family advisor, how many care homes are getting that same lead?
How many care homes you get in the same lead? So when we talk to folks, on average we send them to 4 different options. Sometimes we send them to more if they're asking, to compare more. Sometimes we're only sending them to 1 or 2 if that's all that's in the area. It depends on the geography, right? Now, when I say options, we're looking at options based on we qualify based on their budget, based on their care needs, based on their location, their preferences for amenities and what they're looking for, and we narrow it down to the ones that fit. So we're sending them to not just residential board and care, we're also sending them to some of the bigger communities sometimes if it fits their budget and their desired amenities and their location. So often in terms of other residential board and care homes, you may be the only one, but they may also be looking at the Brookdale down the street, right? It all depends on what their budget was, what their desires were, et cetera. Now we've tried to, we've looked at sending them to just one at a time, and what we find is that they don't want that. They want to compare, right? And they wind up Googling and finding others anyways. So we give them enough. We have a limit on the number that we will, because we don't want them, if they get too many out there, it's a problem, right? But the bottom line is that the average that we currently average is 4. So you are in competition with 3 other options. They're not all care homes though. Many of them are bigger communities. And so you're presenting yourself against that possibility.
Okay, great. Thank you. And for those of you that ask questions about how you take advantage of the program that Peter shared, go ahead and call the phone number listed on the slide in front of you now, or email sales@caring.com. We're close to 10 minutes past the hour, so if we missed any questions, we'll follow up with you afterward. We really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. Peter, before I close out the webinar, was there anything final you wanted to mention?
No, I'll just reiterate our desire to work with you. We want to partner with you. It's an exciting time right now because of some big acquisitions and some increased traffic, and we're coming out of this COVID scare, which means that things are increasing dramatically in terms of people looking. There's a pent-up demand. Now would be the time to get involved. And we have, again, some incentives and some specials right now for a shift in our program. It was asked earlier how we differ from others. Our primary competitor charges you per move-in. They charge you a couple different ways per move-in. It's quite a bit of money. In fact, they ask for some assurances up front. We're completely different from that. You pay a low monthly fee, even lower right now as we're launching this program. So simply call or email us. We will follow up with you and talk to you about how to get that all set up for yourself. And we're excited to partner. We are excited to hear your feedback, and we're excited to be good working partners and good relationship with you.
Thank you so much, Peter, and thank you everyone for attending our webinar today. Have a great rest of your day.